Good morning. Welcome to One Baha'i, that blog where I just sort of talk about how I approach the Baha'i faith. And it's just me, one person, one individual, nothing official. I always like to make that clear, as you know. So I've been doing this blog for about 2 weeks now, and sometimes I kind of wonder what I'm going to talk about when I turn on the microphone in the morning. Today, I really had no idea. So when I want to talk about the faith or write about it, I did what I usually do when I'm kind of stuck. I went to the bookshelf, grabbed a book, and opened at random. Today I grabbed Prayers and Meditations from Baha'u'llah and opened to number 168. The link is in the description of the video, so you can just click on it and read along with me. It's a short prayer. I'm going to read it, and then we're going to look at it a little bit. O my Lord, make thy beauty to be my food, and thy presence my drink, and thy pleasure my hope, and praise of thee my action, and remembrance of thee my companion, and the power of thy sovereignty my succorer, and thy habitation my home, and my dwelling place the seat thou hast sanctified from the limitations imposed upon them who are shut out as by a veil from thee. Thou art verily the Almighty, the All-Glorious, the Most Powerful. A few years ago, my wife decided to do a little study of this prayer. And what she did is every day she would read one phrase. And for an entire week, she would meditate and reflect on just that one phrase. And I kind of wanted to do that a little bit today. I don't really have an agenda. There's nothing I want to talk about today. It's a beautiful Friday morning. And I was reading that first passage. Make thy beauty to be my food. And I was wondering, well, first, what is God's beauty? What is the beauty of God? And secondly, what is the purpose of food? How does God's beauty become our food? I'd love to just meditate on that. I'll probably walk over to the cliffs today and sit there and ponder that one phrase, make thy beauty to be my food, as I stare out over God's beauty, the ocean, the mountains, the birds, the flowers. But that's just physical beauty. So as I think about it right now, it occurs to me that God's beauty is more than just physical. It occurs to me that the virtues are part of God's beauty. I find trustworthiness within somebody a beautiful thing. I find compassion beautiful. And as I say this, it occurs to me that when I find trustworthiness, compassion, love, mercy, generosity within other people, that fills me up. Food is a form of sustenance. And maybe seeing the beauty of God in other things is a form of sustenance. I remember a few years ago, 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I was with a friend of mine, David, and we were walking through the Chicago Botanical Gardens. And we got to the Japanese island gardens, which are quite fascinating. They mimic a path of life. You begin on the mainland, and in this particular garden, the path is through three different gardens, or three different islands. You start on the mainland, you cross the bridge to the first island, which represents the body. And on this island, there's all sorts of plants and little scenarios set up to stimulate the physical senses. Then you cross the second bridge to get to the second island, which represents the mind. You sit at the edge of the second island and you contemplate the third island, which represents the spirit. There's all sorts of other metaphors within this, but that's the essence of it. So David and I were sitting at the edge of the second island, contemplating the third, talking about life and God and love and beauty and all these sorts of things. I think we were 12, 13, 14, something like that. And at one point he asked me, he said, "How is it that you see beauty in anything?" I didn't realize that I was, or that I could. But I think I was wiser then than I am now, because I thought about what to say before I answered him. And I closed my eyes and I could feel the cool breeze blowing across my face. I could smell the flowers from the other garden. I could hear the birds and the rippling waves. And I opened my eyes, and the water was that sort of rippling where you could see the sparkle diamond-like reflections of the sun pinpricking everywhere. And there, at the very base of the pier we were sitting on, was a dragonfly stuck to the water. And I bent down and I lifted him up on my finger. And he lay across my finger with his wings wrapped tightly to my finger like a wet cloak. And I stared at him as he dried off. Might have been a her. I stared at her as she dried off. And I said to my friend, I don't remember most of what I said, but I remember saying that, a cricket is one of the most god-awful, ugly creatures on the face of the planet, in my opinion. But when you look at the cricket with your ears, they're pure angelic beauty. You see, I think finding beauty is sometimes looking with different senses. And as I was talking about this, the dragonfly's wings slowly dried, peeled away, and she flipped over, shook herself off, and flew away. And I just sat there with my finger out for a moment, staring in wonder. And the dragonfly came back, landed on my fingertip, touched her head to my first knuckle, and then flew off. And David and I just sat there in amazement and wonder. And when I think about those things in my life that make me unique, my own unique memories, that is always the first one that comes to mind. Nothing significant, nothing major, a very minor detail in my life that in many ways people would say had no impact on my life whatsoever. And yet, it is the beauty of that moment that gives my life its unique flavor. Make thy beauty to be my food. What a fascinating phrase. When you look back over your own life, what are those little details? What are those tiny little moments of insignificance filled with such beauty that make your life richer? I think I'll meditate on that for the rest of the day. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm very grateful. If you have any suggestions or insights or stories you would like to share, I would love to read about them in the comments. Don't forget to hit like. And to learn more about the Baha'i Faith, go to Baha'i.org. It's in the links. Take care. See you tomorrow. Oh, actually, I probably won't see you tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.